Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Nassau BOCES Parent EDU. My name is Gina Faust, and I am the Program Coordinator for Professional Development Services at Nassau BOCES. And this evening, we are so fortunate to have Jennifer Etline with us, leading a presentation titled Addressing Math Learning Gaps for Grades K through 2. Before we begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jen. Jen Etline has 30 years of teaching experience in the Oyster Bay East Norwich School District. She's been an elementary teacher as well as an academic intervention teacher for mathematics and reading and literacy skills. Jennifer has led professional learning workshops for teachers and presentations for parents on myriad topics related to academic skills, teaching and learning, and the homeschool connection. Her mantra with her students is no math tears. She is particularly passionate about sharing tips and tricks for making learning fun. So welcome, Jen, and thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much, Gina. I also wanted to mention, in addition to being a teacher, I am also a mom to two amazing daughters. So my older daughter was definitely a big time math struggler, but now she's a sophomore in college. And my younger daughter is a special education student. And it's pretty interesting because along the way, I learned many new amazing strategies from her. So she's been my teacher as well. So whether you feel that your child has learning gaps or is just struggling in math, this workshop will definitely be very helpful. You will walk away with many strategies and digital resources that will help your child to become more successful in math. So let's get started. All right. That's right. As Gina said, sorry that my little thing is in the way. No math tears. That is my rule. I'm just going to try to move this. I'm slightly afraid. Hold on. Don't want to mess it up. I'll put it over here. No math tears. It is not worth it. I hope I provide you with a lot of different things to do besides math tears, a lot of helpful strategies. So let's get to it. All right. I would like to show you the expectations by grade level. I'm just going to move this over to the side so that you have a little bit of a better understanding of what your child should master by the end of each grade level. Now, I do want to point out that on the top, so it says an important subset of the major work in grades K through 8 is the progression that leads towards middle school algebra. And believe it or not, I know it's kind of hard to believe because if you're watching this presentation, you have a kindergartner or a first grader or a second grader, but eventually they will get to 8th grade and they'll be doing that algebra. So in kindergarten, some of the expectations are know number names and the count sequence, count to tell the number of objects, compare numbers, understand addition as putting together and adding to, and understand subtraction as taking apart and taking from, and work with numbers 11 through 19 to gain foundations for place value. Now, for first grade, represent and solve problems involving addition and subtraction, understand and apply properties of operations and the relationships between addition and subtraction. We're going to talk a lot about that one. Add and subtract within 20, work with addition and subtraction equations, and extend the counting sequence, understand place value, use place value understanding and properties of operation to add and subtract, and measure length indirectly and by iterating length units. And then for the second grade, represent and solve problems involving addition and subtraction, add and subtract within 20, Once again, the theme of all grades, understand place value. Use place value, understanding, and properties of operations to add and subtract. Measure and estimate lengths in standard units, and relate addition and subtraction to length. All right. So let's just spend a little bit of time talking about mindset. This is extremely powerful. In fact, where I work in Oyster Bay, we had a whole day by Dr. Carol Dweck, she's down below, and her book on mindset. Now, this particular graphic I took here, there it is. My goodness, I'm sorry. My graphics are, my Zoom tools are all over the place. I'll just have to put it there for now. This is from a website called carlyandadam.com. But we have a growth mindset, that's what we want, and a fixed mindset, which is what we want to kind of get away from. So I like to kind of explain this in a little bit the reverse way you're seeing it. So in a fixed mindset, which is not that, right? Think this, not that. In a fixed mindset, your child might say, I'm done. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. But with a growth mindset, they would think, okay, I'm done, but is this my best work? Is there anything that I can do to make this even better? A fixed mindset, they might say, this is too hard. But a growth mindset, if they had, they might say, all right, well, some things are hard, but I can do hard things. Not everything's easy. I got this. Fixed mindset, I give up. Do you ever see that? When the hands go up, I give up. With a growth mindset, well, I'll try a different strategy and see if that works. Here's my favorite one with a fixed mindset. I made a mistake. Friends, like the world's going to end if the child makes a mistake. We need to teach children that it's not just okay to make a mistake, but it's actually wonderful to make a mistake, because on the growth mindset, it says, mistakes help me improve. In my classroom, we literally celebrate mistakes. We call them celebratory moments. I will do a happy dance when a child makes a mistake, because it gives us the opportunity to do an error analysis, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. But pretty much they're finding their error. They're seeing what went wrong and how it can be fixed. And that is where the learning happens. That's where the magic happens. So children learn, and so do adults really, through rigor and sticking through it. And that's when the concept will be gained. So that's my favorite one on there. And then don't you just love the, I'm just not good at math? Yeah, no. So on a growth mindset, well, I can ask a friend for help, or again, I could try another strategy. I can ask the teacher. I should do anything besides saying I'm just not good at math, right? So a growth mindset is absolutely crucial, not just for math, but really for life in general. But it is so helpful, and it is up to us, parents, teachers, to help the children to have a growth mindset. So let us continue. All right. These are just some of the things that in school we work on a whole bunch, like a lot, to make sure that they're successful. And these are also things that I frequently see children making mistakes on. So something that is very important in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade is having one-to-one correspondence. So I'll see some students counting, and they'll just sort of like, they'll count, but they won't say them all, like they'll miss some. So two recommendations I have are either touch and count each item, or slash and count each item. Something that I did on this little example is I wrote the number above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if your child needs that, then that's what they should do. If they can just slash and slash and say 1, slash and say 2, then that is great too. When should they stop doing that? When they don't need it anymore, when they can just with their eyes go ahead and count it. and it's the correct number. And this is important, not just for counting, but it will also be important with addition and subtraction. And once they get to third grade, they learn multiplication, and we do arrays. And if they don't have correct one-to-one correspondence, it becomes a problem. So if we could get them in the habit of touching each item or slashing each item, it will help them to be more successful for sure. And then here's another one. Let me just move this a little bit around. Okay, know your fingers. It's so funny. This little girl with 6 fingers makes me think when the doctor, an eye test, how many fingers am I holding up? That's not what this is. So what this is if like this little girl has 6, or the way you're looking at me is probably this way. A child should know that's 6. They should know, like I'm doing it in reverse. That's 8 just by looking at it. And I'll tell you why. Because when they start to do addition, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but they will use counters and be very concrete, and then they'll be drawing pictures and be representational. When they get away from that, if they don't know the fact yet, here's another way to do it. Like, for instance, if the fact is 7 plus 6, I tell them, take the greater number, which happens to be 7, you stick it in your fist, and then count up 6 more, right? So they would go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They have to know to stop here because this is 6 more. So one thing that you can do, especially in the younger years, kindergarten, first grade, is every now and then you say, okay, show me 9 fingers. But hopefully, eventually, instead of, I don't know if you're seeing me in reverse or not, but instead of them going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hopefully they can just go like this and show 9. So that's an exercise that I would recommend doing with your children when they're young, for sure. It will be helpful. It'll also be helpful when they do multiplication. The power of fact fluency. What is that, right? Because when we think of fluency, most of us think of reading, like reading with a smooth voice, reading with, some feeling and not reading like a robot. But fact fluency sounds a little bit strange. So when I think of fact fluency, I think of this analogy that I heard with a car, right? So when you are learning how to drive, you have to learn a lot of things. And if you don't do them automatically, you won't be passing your own test. So let's just say, I'm thinking back to my daughter when she was learning how to make a left-hand turn in an intersection, right? She had to learn to put her signal on. She had to learn to wait for the light to be green, make sure the path is clear. But if you can't just have that, with automaticity and put it all together, you're not going to pass your road test. So the same with fact fluency, right? In the beginning, they should be, thinking about it. Okay, 3 plus 2, 3, 2 more, and all the different strategies. But eventually, they do need to memorize them. And when you have fact fluency, you have that with automaticity. You say a fact, you know it right away. At the end of second grade, they do need to be able to have fact fluency with addition and subtraction facts. So this is a major part of kindergarten, first and second grade. When third grade comes, they need to have fact fluency with all of their multiplication facts and division. So K-2, you want to definitely get the addition, subtraction facts in. So what can we do to help? Lots of things. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to share a whole lot of digital resources that will help with addition, subtraction, and fact fluency. There are some websites I'll show you, like extramath.org, Reflex, and I'm going to show you how they sort of make it entertaining, and they also just kind of drill it in the child, just drill the facts in. There are lots of songs that I'm going to show you. And let's not forget good old-fashioned flashcards, especially maybe if people are gathered maybe in a kitchen and there even is literally 30 seconds, you could hold up 5 flashcards and see if they can, get the sum of 2 add-ins, right? We're using vocabulary, right? So don't forget about the flashcards. So let me show you something that I do in my classroom. And we talk about fact families. Now, when I was reading the expectations by grade level, it constantly talked about the relationship between addition and subtraction. And that's what a fact family does. So the fact family for addition and subtraction would be 2 addition facts and 2 subtraction facts, right? And they use the same number. So I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but if you had 3 plus 4, which equals 7, and then you switched it around, which is the commutative property, by the way, and you did 4 plus 3 equals 7, then you would take that big total and you would put at the beginning, 7 minus 4 equals 3, subtraction fact, and then 7 minus 3 equals 4. Sometimes I say it's kind of like 4 facts for the price of 1. You only have to figure out 1 and you'll get all 4. It helps them to understand the relationship between addition and subtraction, and that one is the inverse of the other. They kind of undo each other, and that there's only 3 numbers in a fact family, unless it's a double. 9 plus 9 equals 18, 18 minus 9 equals 9. But the rest of them, they only have 3 different numbers. So I did kind of use paint swatches for these to be a little creative, but you can really do that with anything. Okay. Lots of different songs. This is just kind of a good old-fashioned song. Any song will be great to make it fun. This was a doubles one. Normally, I would always use the word plus and equals, but it doesn't kind of flow in this song. So I kind of go like this. 1 plus 1 is 2 for fun. 2 plus 2 is 4 for you. 3 plus 3 is 6, you see. 3 plus 3 is 6, you see. 4 plus 4 is 8's the score. 5 plus 5 is 10's alive. 6 plus 6 is 12 pickup sticks. 7 plus 7 is 14's heaven. 8 plus 8, 16's great. 9 plus 9, 18's fine. 10 plus 10 is 20. And then I think I just cut it off and it says we can sing our doubles over again. So I don't know. It's just a cute song. Doubles are very important, by the way. So anything you can do to make it entertaining and fun, so it's not such a chore, would be great. All right. Now, don't panic when you see this. These are skip counting songs, right? And these songs will help with multiplication, which is not part of the kindergarten, first grade, or second grade curriculum. But as I said before, I'm here to tell you it's coming in third grade. So I wanted to put this up and I want to tell you to feel free, if you're watching this, to take a Snapchat of it. Absolutely. I actually laminate this, give it to my children, tell them to stick it in their car. Most cars, I would say, have a pocket in front of where the child sits, and I have them keep it in the pocket. So why? It's not a chore to learn it. You just get in the car, you sing along. This is pretty funny, but some of them have literally hung it in the shower because I laminated it. I told them to ask a parent first, but they're singing multiplication songs in the shower. Now, I do love these because when they get to third grade, you can't bring like that not old fashioned, they're still good, but a multiplication chart, you can't bring it to the test. But once you memorize these songs, they're in your head. And then I tell them they can bring their brain to a test, or to any math that they're doing. So I'm going to let you know how these go. But again, this is not for panicking that they should know this now, but it is a good idea to maybe have them start skip counting summer of second grade. It's a great idea. I actually did that with my little cousin, and he was kind of, by the third grade came, he was a whiz. We were singing over and over. So the 3 song goes to Jingle Bells. And it goes like this: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33. So I kind of took these songs and I took multiples and I put them to songs that most kids are familiar with. The forest is through the beginning of Jingle Bells, the dashing through the snow part. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Well, that's a good one. Actually, the 3s, the 4s, I think the 7s, I had found on the internet. We're going to talk about that, how you can search and find anything. And the rest I kind of made up. So here's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. 7 is my all-time favorite. Happy birthday. We do sing it to children when it's their birthday, but we do it in 7s. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. Like that one? Okay, so the 8s go to Old MacDonald. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72. There were many years we had dance moves to them, just saying. All right, the 9s are to row, row, row your boat. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, 90, 99, 108. 9s are great. Just had to finish out the song with 9s are great. Don't want to leave anyone hanging. And the 12s to Itsy Bitsy Spider. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96, 108, 121, 32, 144. So anyway, they're grouped. The numbers are grouped in the way the song goes. And again, not required in K through 2. Just if you're watching this and you have concerns about your child with math and thinking that there might be some gaps or some struggle, this is such a great thing that you can do for your child prior to third grade. So, all right. Now, there are also, besides my lovely voice, scary, there are songs all over the internet. You can search anything. So here's 2 songs. I'm only gonna play one. This is a great one by Jack Hartman. He's a great one for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. And this one is on number pairs, which is a really important concept to learn. So let's take a look.
Hey parents, over here.
We have to wait for the,
Let
there
me
we
show
go,
you.
skip ads.
Jack Cartman, Kids Music Channel.
No, you want to clap.
Let's learn our number pairs. Build your math fluency. These are number pairs that make 10. I can say my number pairs. Yes, I can. I can say my number pairs and use my hands. I know that 2 parts make a whole. Let's learn the number pairs of 10. Nice and slow. 10 and 0. 0 and 10. 9 and 1. 1 and 9. 8 and 2. 2 and 8. 7 and 3. 3 and 7. 6 and 4. 4 and 6. 5 and 5. 5 and 5. Those are the number pairs that make 10. A little faster. 10 and 0. 0, and 10.
Can't you hear your child singing along to this?
9 and 1. 1 and 9. 8 and 2. 2 and 8. 7 and 3. 3 and 7. 6 and 4. 4 and 6. 5 and 5. 5 and 5. Those are the number pairs that make 10. A little faster. 10 and 0. 0 and 10. 9 and 1. 1 and 9. 8 and 2. 2 and 8. 7 and 3. 3 and 7. 6 and 4. 4 and 6. 5 and 5. 5 and 5. Those are the number pairs that make 10.
And there you
I
have
can
it.
say
Oh,
my number pairs. Yes, I can.
we're not done.
I can say
Okay.
my number pairs and use my hands. I know that 2 parts make a whole.
Anyway, you get the point. Let me just close out of that and make this bigger. Okay, good. So what did we learn? We love Jack Hartman. He's very entertaining. It's very repetitive, which is exactly what the kids this age need. And he uses a 10 frame, which is something that they use in school also. So you can, first of all, Jack Hartman's great. You can just like search him and find different things, but you can find so many very, very entertaining and free resources on the
Yeah,
internet.
and I noticed something else that he did in that video that you mentioned earlier in your presentation was that he used his fingers.
Yes, thank you.
And there's real power in that. Sometimes as parents, we're afraid we don't want them to use their fingers, but I think I saw the value in that, and you mentioned it early on.
Yes, absolutely. And actually just in a little bit, I'm going to even bring it up again. But for me, I'm going to show you where the place is for fingers. There actually is a place on the learning continuum. But the fingers, look, they're a part of your body. You could bring them with you on a test. You could use them in any sort of way. So it's really great. And remember, once the facts are memorized, we won't need these. But we do need to do many things in order to learn the facts and to reinforce the facts. So it's great. I say make it entertaining. So I'm not going to play this one on place value, but it is pretty cute. And I do want to just tell you that it's from this whole series called Number Rock. So you can look that up. And there's lots of different entertaining ones too. And hopefully you remember that when we went on the expectations by grade level, place value is on every single one of them. So that's a good one. All right. So that does not look like me. That was my Bitmoji. But anyway, let's pretend that's me. I do want to tell you that I have 3 great questions that will help students with problem solving. I feel like sometimes there's some panic with word problems, and we don't want that to happen. And we certainly don't want it to happen as early as kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, right? So if we can get in the habit of guiding students through these 3 questions, it will really alleviate a lot of, math stress, which we don't want. So I find that students take numbers, they read a word problem and they just take the numbers and do stuff with them. And my first question to them is always, what are you trying to find? So these questions have to be in this order. What are you trying to find comes before how will you solve it? So I see students really in every grade, just again, taking numbers and doing stuff with it because they didn't take the time to figure out what they're trying to find. So I asked them to underline what they're trying to find, and think, are you getting bigger? Are you getting smaller? Then how will you solve it? It becomes a little bit easier because you know what you're looking for. And if I'm looking for a big number, addition. If I'm looking for a smaller number, subtraction. It gets a little more complicated as they get older when we introduce multiplication and division. But for now, think bigger and smaller. And the correct term would be greater and smaller, but I do find that a lot of kids have some difficulty understanding that. So I'll use bigger and smaller. And when they solve it, they need to and we're going to talk about showing it. So they might draw a picture. And when they ask themselves, well, does my answer make sense? Well, if I added, is my number bigger? If I subtracted, is my number smaller? If it was something different, maybe like rounding, does my number end with a 0? So things like that. And these questions are so important that, or I'll show you in a second, that I'll even show you, like there are posters hanging up in my room and they're huge. So it's so valuable at this age to just establish that mindset of what am I trying to find before how will I solve it? And then does my answer make sense? All right, so here's the properties. Properties are very important. Now for K through 2, I'm really just going to talk about 3 properties. This is something that I have in my room where it's like the definition is there. And a lot of times, and this is for right now with 3rd and 4th graders, but a lot of times these definitions can be very wordy to them, and they need a quick picture to look at, and then they're good. So I'm going to just start. I'm just going to go over 3. I'm going to start with the commutative property. That's the upper left. And I tell them that commutative begins with the letter C-O, and change order also begins with C-O, and that's what the commutative property is. It's changing the order of the addends. So if 4 plus 6 equals 10, then we know that 6 plus 4 also equals 10. If they can master that concept, they will be very solid when it comes to multiplication, because the commutative property also applies to multiplication. So if they know it in addition, it will make it much easier to get the fact. All right, so if we're going to the next one, the associative property, that's the one that says that you can group numbers, we'll call them addends, any way you want if there's more than 2. So it's kind of hard for them to add 3 numbers at a time. It's hard for most people to do that. So if it's like 3 plus 2 plus 7, they know that they can group them any way they want. If we listen to good old Jack Hartman, he's teaching them ways to make 10. So if they listen to that enough, they should know, oh, maybe I'll group the 3 with the 7 and it makes 10, and then add on 2 and get 12. So that is, that's a good one. And then the last one I just want to talk about is the identity property. That's the one in blue. And that's the one I kind of explain it like this. I'll pick a child and I'll pick a name. I'll say, oh, this is Sam. Sam's wearing a red shirt, but tomorrow if he wears a blue shirt, it's still going to be Sam. If he gets his hair cut, it's still going to be Sam. He could wear glasses. He could take them off. It's going to be Sam. There's nothing we can do to Sam to change his identity. So when we add, the numbers are called addends, right? There's a special number we can use with any addend, and it won't change its identity. And that number is 0. 3 plus 0 is 3, right? 117 plus 0 is 117. If I put the 0 first, 0 plus 83 equals 83. So the identity property is super important with addition, because when it gets to multiplication, they kind of do something I call using and confusing. With multiplication, that magic number is 1, right? So if we can just, in addition, have that solid in their brains that if you add 0 to any number, it won't change. It keeps its identity. It's really important. I'm not going to go into the last one, the distributed property, because that's for when they get a little bit older, 3rd, 4th grade. Homework tips. We all need some homework tips, right? So I'm going to go through a bunch of things that you can do at home that are helpful and will hopefully alleviate math tears, which we don't want. No math tears. So one is really a great place to start. I call it place and space, right? So in some houses, there might be a spot where the child does their homework all the time and everything they need is right there. And in some homes, that's just impossible, right? Maybe there's maybe the space doesn't allow for it. Maybe there's many people in the house, right? So that's okay, because you can have sort of like a travel baggie that goes with you, where the child goes with them when they're doing their homework. And I will also tell you that you may choose to sometimes have your child in one spot that's near you. Maybe you need to help them more. Maybe you need to keep an eye on them to make sure they're actually doing their homework. But there will definitely be times where you want to encourage independency, right? And have them doing their homework a place where you are not. And then you come and maybe check over their work or answer any questions they have. So if you're working on independence, then you might want to try that. So these are just lots of different, these are really just 2 different ideas when it comes to doing homework in the home. Let me move this. So when I said, a little baggie that can travel around, this is what I call for math, a math toolbox. It doesn't look like that one, but makes me feel very handy if I had one like that, right? So what should you put in a math toolbox, right? Definitely pencils. I have to say that even though I'm a teacher with my own kids, I had plenty of pencils and I never had a pencil sharpener. I'm kind of like, what kind of teacher doesn't have a pencil sharpener at home? So have a pencil sharpener. You don't need to have a fancy one. You can have one that, the child sticks the pencil in and goes like this. It just have it there. It will save you a lot of time. Highlighters, a dry erase board with dry erase markers and erasers. Not a necessity, but it certainly does make it more fun for the kids to have a dry erase board. So I'll just show you. This is, we have this one in my house, Expo marker. I do have a dry erase eraser, but a tissue or a paper towel works great. Did that all the time when I was doing the remote teaching. And also I was going to show you, if you don't even need to get a board. This came from Staples. These are pocket sleeves. And you can put just a piece of paper in there. And if you use a dry erase marker, it wipes right off and you can use it again and again. Number chart, keywords, graphic organizers. I'm going to show you some, but this is the one that, of course, unfortunately, this is the one that I used in 4th grade, but I'll show you some examples of ones that would be appropriate for K-2. Here's just one, it makes them organized. So here's just one that shows like sum in the middle, the definition, examples, things like that. Other things you can do are place value charts, number lines, graph paper. Let me show you. Here's different examples of place value chart. This one is just tens and ones. Here we have one with hundreds, tens and ones. When I say graph paper, no panicking because we're not graphing at K-2, but I literally have graph paper that I have photocopied kind of over and over, but you could put it in a pocket sleeve. And I made 6 sections out of it. And I have the students, when they have difficulty either with handwriting or with keeping things lined up, the boxes are super helpful for them. And I'll show you an example of that when we get to that real soon. Here's the place value chart that, that we use quite often. Okay. Directions. This is such a big one. Directions. I think sometimes as parents, and I'm completely guilty of this, when my kids were younger, I would just kind of get through the homework and I would be reading the directions. We are doing such a disservice to our children by reading the directions. We really are. When they're in school, they're reading the directions themselves, and the more opportunities they have to become familiar with these types of direction words, the more successful they will be. And the more successful they will be in trying to figure out what they're trying to find. Remember the first key question? So the child should read all the directions. But what if my child can't read? Or what if they struggle? Or what if they can read a little bit, but not all of it? Okay. Any way that works is great. Here's one example. If the child cannot read the directions, perhaps the parent can read the directions first, right? And then do it a second time and the parent and the child read together. It could be where the child tries to read any words they can, and then the parent can just help with tricky words. Teach your children that when they're doing math word problems, names, it won't matter if they cannot be pronounced correctly. It certainly will when they're reading a book, but names, if names are not pronounced correctly, they can still get the math problem correct. So sometimes like my name is Jennifer. So if they couldn't read the Jennifer, they could either say J or they could substitute their own name in. It really doesn't matter. So that's just a little trick, but the child should be reading the directions. Do it together, do it with them. Even if you're reading it right there, every time you do that, they'll have more opportunities to become more familiar with direction words. Okay. And then once they are a little bit more familiar and they are reading a little bit more, they will have word problems. So we have word problem protocol. Exciting, right? Okay. Feel free if you want to take a snapshot of this one, it might be helpful. I tell the students to read it twice. The first time I tell them to read it, I'd have them put their pencils down and their brains are really working and they read it and then they think, am I looking for, like what I said before, a greater number, a smaller number, or bigger number, smaller number, right? Then I have them read it again. Then they mark it up. Now, all teachers introduce different ways of marking up a problem. Your child should do what works for them, even if it's just circle numbers and keywords, which we'll talk about. And I find something very successful when I have them underline what they're trying to find. Again, look for the question mark, right? Go back to the beginning of that sentence, then underline that. That's what you're trying to find. Then they should think, how will I solve it? And show work. And then they should think, does my answer make sense? So I'm such a stickler for this that I have these banners hanging up in my classroom. They're very large. I have nicknamed them the bumblebee questions because they're in yellow and black, no particular reason, but I have them literally on the right above the board. That's how important they are. Okay. Don't we just love this one? Show your work. Oh yeah, but if my child knows that 5 + 4 = 9, why do we have to show the work? All right. So if your child can explain their work, it shows an understanding. And it will help with solving future problems that are similar to that. It's not just about getting through it. It's really about trying to get a conceptual understanding of what they're doing, of the concept, versus just procedural. Procedural is do this, do this, do this, do this. That has its place. And we do that quite often. But when your child can explain why they did that, they're showing conceptual understanding, right? The teacher needs to see how the problem was solved. For many reasons, the biggest being they want to know what kind of understanding the child has, but also They can get partial credit on a test if their answer is incorrect, but they set it up correctly. Sometimes, I see this quite often, the entire problem is done correctly, but the answer is literally just copied incorrectly on the line you're supposed to put it. So if they're showing their work, that's a big win, and they'll probably, on a test, they would get partial credit, or most credit, actually. And also, I mentioned this before, the child, the parent, and the teacher can do an error analysis. That sounds so fancy, and my child is only in first grade. What does that mean? Or a kindergarten, second grade. Okay, an error analysis is kind of like when I was saying that we should have the growth mindset and we learn from the mistakes, right? So if the child has an error that either they realized on their own or you pointed out, don't tell them how to fix it. I tell them, it's best if they can find the error, but why was the error made and how can it be fixed? That's it. Why was it made? How can it be fixed? And maybe your child needs some help with this sometimes, but maybe they can do it by themselves many of the time. So an error analysis is such a powerful tool that will help with understanding and certainly future understanding. That's one of the things I said I celebrate in my classroom, because I said, oh, this is so great. You did this with me. I have, I pull them out for a small group for math, and then they go back to their classes. And I say, oh, maybe now you won't do this when you're doing this type of math, the next time or the next day or on a test. So it's very, very powerful. So once they do an error analysis, it really shows conceptual understanding. All right. When in doubt, draw it out. So a picture definitely shows conceptual understanding. And sometimes you would draw a picture, and I tell them not just a picture of a beautiful sunny day with a rainbow. It has to make sense to help solve the problem. So sometimes we, A, draw a picture to solve a problem, and sometimes we, B, draw a picture literally to try to find out what we're trying to find. So that whole, what are you trying to find? Sometimes there are students that are reading it and they still can't figure it out. And sometimes they need to draw in order to figure out what they're trying to find. It is very powerful. Pictures are great. It's got to be, again, an appropriate picture. And one picture that's a wonderful thing for them to have an understanding with is a bar model. And this just shows the relationship between parts and whole. Like over here, we have 3 plus 3, over here 2, together that makes 5. That's the total. So then when they get, this is something they would even be doing in second grade here, where the total is on the top and the parts are here, and they have to figure it out. So they should know that, like on the second one, 175, and they have 425, you would add them together to get the whole, right? But up here, you have the whole. You would have to know that you would subtract. You would say 100 minus 50 would give you the other part. So the relationship between addition and subtraction on a bar model is a great picture. All right. Something else that would be super duper helpful in K through 2, and I would say more second grade, is to get an understanding of even and odd numbers. And there's so many ways to teach this, and they will learn it in school. But I say that even searching through, look at Jack Hartman or those Number Rock videos, these are great ways to learn it. So I just wanted to mention it. It becomes very, very helpful in the upper grades. All right. So this looks strange. That's because I'm a little weird, but it makes learning fun. I have something called the Lining Up Police. And as weird as it is, the kids really learn. So this is my spin on taking a lot of these concepts, right? And a lot of these repeated mistakes that I see kids make, common mistakes that I see kids making over and over, and kind of, putting a little humor in it. And I tell them, Like the number one mistake I see is that they didn't line things up properly. So I tell them the lining up police is, I open up my door, oh, they're in the hallway, right? So you can do funny things like that at home. Don't commit math crimes. Want to see the very common math crimes I see in K-2? Here we go. And here's my grid paper, by the way. So math crimes, otherwise known as common mistakes. So place value, here's the lining up police, right? So here's yes and no. Yes, the child lined up 34 plus 2 correctly, but look at no. 34, and they put the 2 in the tens place, which really has a value of 20. And what's it doing there? And they got the incorrect sum here. Look over here, addition. Sometimes they carry that 1 when they have to regroup, and then they forget to add it in. So these are things I just want to point them out because I see them every year over and over across the board with a lot of students. So I just want to point them out. So here, yes, 57 plus 6. So they added 7 plus 6, and it was 13, carried the 1 and added it in. Here, the same thing, but they didn't add it. So 1 plus 5 should be 6, like it is over here, but they didn't do it. Okay, counting without one-to-one correspondence, if they don't have one-to-one correspondence. So yes, they slash 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I am not an artist, friends, but I try to do my best to kind of show you that they'll go 1, 2, 3, and they just skip over some. And that's why you want to touch them or slash them. And then this one, I need to tell you that this one I see going into not just first, second, but third, fourth. I've seen fifth graders do this. They subtract going up instead of going down. And I tell them I'm going to get the subtraction, please. So we have 14 minus 6. You see that? So you have to know to regroup. Lots of tricks. I say there's more on the floor, go next door, with lots of different things that your child's teacher will teach. However, they have to know that the number one rule is subtract going down. Over here, the child said 4 minus 6. Oh, that seems hard. Not sure what to do, but I can do 6 minus 4 and I'll write 2. And then I'll do 1 minus, there's nothing here, equals 1. Very different answers, right? Called the difference. This is wrong. So we have to subtract going down. So don't let them commit math crimes, but make a joke out of it and make it, put a little humor in it. Okay. Choices. Whenever possible, it is great to give choices. So your child can do problems in any order. When they have homework in front of them, put them in the driver's seat. They'll be in charge of their learning. It is not the end of the world if they do their homework out of order. It's fine. They can group problems by, like, if they're similar with each other. They can do word problems first, last, if they're on. It's okay. It encourages independence. And if they become overwhelmed, as opposed to doing nothing or having math tears, have them pick 3 or 4 problems. And even if it's just a homework issue, the child can choose which homework to do first. Maybe they don't want to do math first. I can't understand why anyone wouldn't want to do math all the time, but that's okay. Maybe they want to do it last. Maybe they want to do something else first. So anyway, choices are really important for students, and it really encourages independence. All right. So who's guilty? So that's me saying, who did this homework, right? So most teachers have experienced this many times where the homework comes back and it's not in the child's handwriting and it's all correct. So I'm here when the child might not have understood and probably did. So I'm here to tell you that we all think this. This is my thinking bubble. Incorrect homework from a child is better, and I mean far better, than correct homework from a parent. We really want to know if the child struggled at home. And if the child had a difficult time in class and then it comes home perfect in a different handwriting, we're going to know that that wasn't the child. And you know what? It is also really great for the teacher to see what the child was able to do. So let's not do their homework. But what we do want to do is use math language. Math language. All right. So there are many math vocabulary words that come up over and over again. And becoming more familiar with these words will be very helpful with their conceptual understanding, their understanding of concepts. So just a few. So parts of addition, the addends, you add them together and you get the sum. Parts of subtraction. I do want to tell you that we don't hear this very frequently, the minuend and the subtrahend, but the very, very important one is the difference. Very important. And we want to stay away from saying, what's the answer? What's the answer? So what's the sum? What's the difference? Let's switch over to that type of vocabulary, right? And then I go over some key words. Now for every teacher has their own kind of keywords and there's overlap. It's not an exact science. And you don't want it to be like, it says this, do this. If it says this, do this. Because later on, there are some of the same words on addition and multiplication, right? So this one came from this company, Really Good Stuff, but you can Google and search anything. And, you know, I know it's hard to see them. So that's like the bottom underneath my smart board. Please excuse the wires. But in addition, you'll see total, increase, join, sum, things like that. And subtraction, the biggest one is how many more? Subtract, right? So, less than, the difference, things like that. All right. So real world math. These are amazing things that you can do with your kids that encourage like understanding of concepts that, you know, maybe wouldn't have come up even this early, such as cooking. There are fractions in cooking. So it's so great to introduce that and show them what is a cup, what is a half a cup. Show them that it's smaller, even things like that, units of measure, right? Time, laundry, sorting. Sorting is so important. They can sort in size order, sort by color. Shopping. Now, this is a doozy, right? I will tell you this, but the sooner they start even just fooling around with money even on a kitchen table, the sooner they'll have an understanding of at least the value of the coins. The penny, it's worth 1 cent. You know, the quarter, 25 cents. When they go shopping, do they have enough money to buy what they want? So, you know, and then once second grade hits, you can talk about making change. So you might want to consider if they're going to, the best is going to like a dollar store, right? The best is maybe having them pay for it with actual money and not just you paying with a credit card. And one other thing I wanted to say in my house, it's nice to have a clock, and you can get a very inexpensive little like a plastic clock. They used to call them Judy clocks, so that they still do it, whatever. But just to start telling time and elapsed time, because I do see that as a struggle for kids when they reach grades 3, 4, 5, 6. So the earlier you start, the better. And like I said before, skip counting is just something that is great to do at home. Even in K-2, counting by 5s and counting by 10s. That's something that they would be doing. So you can do that in the car. It's really great. Okay, manipulatives. Use them or lose them. Gina, this is what you were talking about, right? So not just manipulatives, but your fingers. So here we go. There's lots of different ways to talk about the progression of learning, but I kind of like this one. I did find it from Pinterest. You've got the concrete. That's the manipulatives, right? 4 of those little, we call them ones or counters plus 5. You put them together and there's 9. So they do start out that way. Eventually, they won't need the tactile, from the manipulatives, right? And they can draw a picture to represent it. So we call this representational. You can see 4 counters and then, 4 boxes to represent counters or squares plus 5 and then together. Abstract is the number itself. But then there are kind of like stages in between. So this is what I was talking about with know your fingers. So if it were 4 plus 5 and they didn't know it was 9, and this is not the beginning of addition and it's second grade, I would say pick the greater number, put it in your fist, and continue counting on the other number. So 5 and then 4 more, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. But again, they have to know that this is 4. So that's sort of like a semi-abstract. But this cycle of concrete representational and abstract will repeat itself with new concepts that are learned, right? So we might do this with addition, then we may not need it anymore. We might do this with subtraction, we may not need it anymore. Guess what? It's back with multiplication. They showed lots of different ways to do representational circles and dots, or with arrays, so many different ways. The same thing happens with division. When should they take away the manipulatives? When they can at least draw a picture and be representational. When should they take away that? When they can start using the hands and the fingers and in the appropriate way with the fist, and then adding on, right? We shouldn't get too upset if they can't just know 4 plus 5 is 9, because we talked about that's fact fluency. And when the fact is not there yet, we need to do anything we can to get the fact. So that is that. And then parent-teacher communication. When is it time to reach out? Well, my number one rule is no math tears. Are there any math tears? Well, whose tears are they? Are they the child's tears? Are they the parents' tears? Is it both? That's not good. Before, I would also say it's time to reach out. Before I would say entertain the idea of like maybe outside help with a tutor or something like that. You should definitely communicate with the teacher first. And a great idea is to try to identify the problem first. So is the struggle, is it more with the behavior and getting your child to do the homework? Is your child completely overwhelmed? Are they overwhelmed with just sitting and doing homework? Are they overwhelmed with the particular concept that's being reinforced? Is it that they don't know their facts? Is it just overall maybe poor number sense? So it's really great if you can try to identify what the problem is. And then based on really what you're communicating with the teacher, they might modify homework. Maybe they'll either give little examples next to each one, or they'll say, just do the evens or the odds. They might recommend extra help. They might recommend AIS, which is the Academic Intervention Service, maybe extra support. You don't know, but definitely reach out to the parent if there are math tears of any kind, or just a lot of struggling at home. Okay, we are in the grand finale. These are the digital resources. I put 9 together. I'm just going to kind of go through them. Now, these resources, there's a free version of all of them, and many of them the school districts already subscribe to. And if they don't, or you're not sure, you can ask your child's teacher. But I want to show it to you, and I'm showing you each version right now without a subscription, so you can see what it looks like. The first one is IXL. A lot of schools already have subscriptions to this. So I'm just going to show you that this, you're looking at a view without my subscription in. And if you click on learning, make sure you're in math. There's kind of 3 ways that I have the kids look, 3 ways that you can look at it. One is by grades. So you can see pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and it continues. And then I'll go to kindergarten. See all 252 skills. Look at that. Okay, whoop, I just completely messed that up. Let me just go back. What I accidentally, I don't know how I got to, clicked on recommendations. If they do have a subscription, they do this diagnostic test, and then the IXL will literally just make recommendations based on what they need. So that's pretty cool. But I just clicked on kindergarten. So it shows the things that they really do need to learn, like here, numbers and counting up to 3. Every single one of these is a different activity. So let's do, look at this, the skip counting. There it is. Skip counting by 2s. So the cool thing about the lower grades is that over here, if you click on it, it'll read it to them, which is great because it's fast. It's getting them to actually kind of read along as it's reading it to them. And if they are confused, there's this little part here that says learn with an example. So they have to count by 2s. And if they're confused, it gives an example, go back to the practice, and then you go ahead and put your answer in. So that's just one way of doing it, which is by, hold on one second, which is by grades. Also by topic. So addition, here's that algebra, comparing. Let me click on comparing. Okay, so now here's all the comparing skills and what they need to know in different grades. Look at all the kindergarten ones, first grade. So that's just another way. And then here's an interesting one that I just wanted to show. If you click on skill plans, you very well may find your child's textbook that they use in their school. If you scroll down, mine happens to be this one. So if I click on like second grade, it's going to show, this is chapter 1, and it correlates exact with their textbook. And then lesson 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. These are all different lessons that will help them with the lesson. So actually all different skills that will help them. So it's just extra practice. So IXL is a real good one. ABCM. All right, this is, they all like this. This one has all different grades and different games and different things. There's a free version of it. It says you can see it, join now for premium, but you certainly don't have to. Also, a lot of school districts have this. So I'll just show you quickly. Grade 1. Here's, marble math. I'll just show you, this is a fun addition game.
Marble math. Tap
Okay.
a number to select a rank. How many is 1 plus 1?
So this is a little bit more of the kind of the concrete, because you're dragging marbles and 1 plus 1, and then you would pick
You got
2.
it. How many
So
is
it's a good one. There's
plus
lots
0?
of different games on this one. Okay. Extra math is absolutely free. It's extramath.org, right? And I'm going to show you a little video that is for teachers or parents, and it kind of explains it all. So let me show you.
Find the perfect worksheets for your kids.
Sorry, I have to get
Discover
through the
over
ad.
30,000 games.
There we go.
Hi everybody, we're going to talk about Extra Math today. Extra Math is a free online resource which is designed just for one purpose, and that's for students to learn their math facts. This is a great resource for teachers and parents too. The website address is extramath.org, so let's take a look at how it works. This is what the student activity page looks like. It's just a bare bones interface where students are quizzed on their math facts. Students are being quizzed on their automaticity with math facts, so they have 3 seconds to answer each question. There's a lot of customization available so that you can choose which operations students are learning. For example, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And you'll see that if students get an answer wrong, they're shown the correct answer, and they have to enter the correct answer before they can continue. So while they're learning, they're being assessed. All students start out with a diagnostic placement quiz, and then they'll get progress quizzes and practice rounds. But no matter what they're doing, the student activity is basically the same. A whole session takes around 5 to 10 minutes. So let's take a look at the teacher interface. This is where you'll see all of the student data. I blocked out my students' names with that blue bar, but you can see how it looks. Each student has a mastery score that ranges from 0 to 100%, When students reach 100%, there's a certificate of completion that's generated for them, and you can print it out, and then they move on to a new operation. These colored shapes indicate how well the student has done on a particular day, and the squiggly lines show the long-term trend for each student. If you click on the student's name, you can drill down to get more information about that particular student. This student here currently has a mastery score of 46%. On the left, you can see a graph for each day she's practiced, and on the right is a matrix of each math fact that she's practicing and how well she knows them. Green means that she has that fact mastered. Yellow means that she knows the math fact but is not answering it quickly. And gray means she still needs to learn the math fact. So you can really drill down and get specific information about which math facts students need to learn. And here's a great opportunity to blend traditional learning strategies with extra math. You can use that specific information about math facts to create flashcards. Students could even work with a partner to create flashcards for the facts that they need to learn. If you want to customize what kind of math facts a student is practicing, you can do that. You can choose which operations students are practicing, and you can also choose a beginning edition program that only quizzes students on math facts with sums up to 10. You can also specify how much time students have to answer each problem, ranging from 1.5 to 6 seconds. Let's take a quick look at the roster setup. When you go to the Extra Math homepage for the first time, you'll want to click on Sign Up. That's up on that yellow sticky note at the top. You're going to put in your email address, and this is important because students will use your email address when they sign in for the first time. After that, you'll go through a few screens where you choose the class name and an end date for the class. You can choose
As a
this
parent,
later,
you
but
can
I
do
like to
this too, by
extend
the way.
the class all the way through the summer so that students can practice over the summer break if they want. After that, you'll just enter each student's name one by one, and Extra Math will start automatically generating 4-digit pins. Once you're finished entering your roster, you can print a list of student pins for your reference. Finally, I'm going to show you how students sign in, and this part's a little bit tricky for the first time. Students need 3 pieces of information: your email address, not theirs, their first name that you entered when you created your roster, and their 4-digit PIN. If your students sign into Chromebooks or other devices with their Google account, I would highly recommend that they hit on that red Sign In with Google button. Then they'll enter these 3 pieces of information on this login screen. After that, all their login info is linked to their Google account, and all they have to do is click that Google button each time, as long as they're signed into Google, and they're good to go. So that's basically it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that's Extra Math, which I need to turn off. Okay, so that's Extra Math, which is a great one. It doesn't have a whole lot of bells and whistles, but the good thing about it is once they get past the first 3 sessions, it really takes them between like 5 and 7 minutes to do. And then that's their practice for the day. So it kind of gets right to the point, which is kind of nice. All right. Brain Pop Junior is another great one. And if you click on it, you'll see that there's free stuff. It'll say free stuff. And they try to make concepts funny and entertaining. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of a video from Brain Pop Junior. Face value.
Awesome slam dunk. What's the score? No, Libby, the game is not tied. They scored 6 points, which is the same as 6 ones. We scored 16 points, which is the same as 1 10 and 6 ones. What is place value? Numbers can be made up of just 1 digit. But numbers can have more than 1 digit too. The number 6 has only 1 digit. The number 16 has 2 digits, 1 and 6. Each digit in a number stands for a group. The value, or how much each digit stands for, depends on its place in a number. This is called place value. What are ones? Let's see. How many cubes do we have? 1, 2,
See, they're touching each one.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 cubes. When you count things one by one, you count up by ones. When we write the number 9, it's in the ones place. Some numbers have more than one digit, like the number on my shirt. What are tens? When you combine 10 ones, you get a group of 10.
All right, I'm going to
On a
Whoa.
100 chart,
I'll stop
each row has
there.
10.
Because you get the point. But there are a lot of great Brain Pop Junior videos. Now, if you go to the Brain Pop Junior site and it'll say free stuff, you can do what's free. But you can also go on YouTube and search Brain Pop Junior videos and get them that way. And you'll find a lot. Okay, Reflex Math, a lot of districts do have a subscription to. So I'll just show you. This is what it looks like when you don't have a subscription, right? And you could even try it for free, right? And over here, it says take a tour. I'm just gonna show you. It starts out with Krabby's Fact Fair. I'll show you. This one has a lot of bells and whistles on it. It's not as fast as Extra Math. It's going to take more than 5 minutes. Not a lot, but it's very entertaining. It's very motivating. Yeah, motivating. And the students, I think the more that they get correct, they can use like fake money and buy things, outfits for their character. So it's pretty cool. So there's a lot of engaging games and rewards that they will experience. And that's basically that. Now, Cool Math for Kids is similar to a lot of them, where you could just choose the different grade levels. And there's, Grand Prix multiplication, Alien Edition. There's lots of different fun games that encourage fact fluency. So you'll pick the ones that are appropriate for your child's grade level. And then there's other things, math games, lessons, quizzes, manipulative. So it's a cool one. And then finally, I have 3 more. Math Playground. This same thing, different grade levels games, but I kind of like this also because there's some really cool math videos here. I'm just going to show you a minute or two of one. Here's a good one on telling time that is not working now. Let's just see if I just messed that up. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that.
Whoa! I am so sorry that you guys caught me sleeping. I know that I shouldn't be sleeping in the middle of the day. I got this awesome new clock, but I don't know how to tell time yet, so I do not know when to go to sleep. Hey, I've got an idea. Maybe you guys can help me. Will you help me learn how to tell time so I know when to go to bed? Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Let's zoom over here to the clocks and learn how to tell time. This first clock we see is an analog clock. This is the new clock I got. To learn time, let's start off with an easier version of this clock.
So that's Math Playground. There's a lot of cute videos like that. I don't want to show you the whole thing, but I do like that one. And then I just want to make sure I show you Khan Academy. Khan Academy is free. And it's pretty cool because you can search anything and you'll find a teacher giving like a video of a lesson on it. So let's say I wanted to go on the search bar, and let's say I was second grade parent of a second grade. I wanted to do subtraction, subtraction with regrouping. That's always a fun one. Subtraction with regrouping. Let's say it's very hard. My child's not getting it. Well, let's have another teacher explain it. Here's a video.
So let's see if we can subtract 25 from 83, or if we can figure out what 83 minus 25 is. And I encourage you to pause the video and see if you can work through it. So I'm assuming you've had a try, and when you tried to work through it, you probably first went to the ones place right over here, and you probably said, hey, I have 3 ones on top, and from that I want to subtract 5 ones. But then you said, wait, I can't subtract 5 ones from 3 ones. 5 is more than 3. What do I do? And what you do is what I'm about to show you. You do something called regrouping. You take some of the value that's in the tens place and put it into the ones place. What am I talking about? I'm going to do it 3 different ways so you really hopefully understand what's going on. Well, you want this 3 to be more ones. You want it to be at least as large as 5 or larger. So how do you do that? Well, you could take a 10 from the tens place. So instead of having 8 tens here, you could take one of them away, and then you're going to have 7 tens here. And then if you take a 10, because I just took a 10 away from here, and you put it in the ones place, that's going to be 10. So 10 plus 3 is 13. 10 plus 3 is 13. So what did I do again? 83 is 8 tens and 3 ones. You could also think of it as 7 tens and 13 ones. And I'm going to do it again in a couple of different ways to make that clear. But let's just work through this now. Because now you have...
All right, we're not going to work through it. But it goes on to explain it in 3 different ways. That's a great one for parents when you're kind of stuck and you're like, I'm not, not sure how to help my child to understand. There are so many resources in Khan Academy. You will find someone teaching this concept. And the last one I just wanted to show you was education.com. I put that at the end because it is not free. This one is not free. However, if you're looking for outside things, I would try this maybe before I would try a tutor because it's not that expensive for this site. If you're looking for worksheets and things like that you can just print out and give new ones and find lots of different concepts, you will find it here. But I put it at the end because this is not a free one, but some people are interested. There are songs and games, so it's an inexpensive subscription, but it is not free. So just wanted to leave you with a couple of thoughts. Remember, you can search anything and you can find videos and songs and games and lesson demonstrations, and try to avoid those math tears at home. And I just wanted to remind you, this is the #1 rule, no math tears. I mean it, because now you have more tools in your parent toolbox, and you have strategies from this presentation, as well as a ton of digital resources. Of course, you will follow suggestions from your child's teacher and also ask the teacher what digital subscriptions the district has already. And don't forget that having a growth mindset is crucial. Teach your child to celebrate their mistakes and learn from them. So I hope this presentation was helpful. Feel free to watch any part of it again. It's going to be archived on the BOCES website. And I thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Jen, for spending time with us and really making the most of every minute you had with us. You shared so many resources and really encouraged us to relax a little bit and have fun with it and reach out for support when we need it. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
My
And
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. And thank you to our parents who will be tuning in to watch. We hope that you enjoy Parent EDU and that we also hope that you come back to Parent EDU for other workshops. Have a great night.